Okay, we're going to start right now. So, welcome to Educators for Impact seventh event, and thank you all for coming out and supporting us. My name is Joyce Wong, and I am the CEO for E4I. And today we are very fortunate to have a wonderful speaker, which is Annie here, a computer science major at UCLA, a top 20 university in the nation. She has joined to explore the experiences of college life at UCLA and the difficulties of studying computer science in our competitive society, especially as a woman in STEM. During our Q&A, you guys are welcome to submit questions. And first, to quickly introduce, Educators for Impact is a platform created to bring together different people from various backgrounds and industries to share their thoughts about all things education related. We believe passionately in the power of education to influence students, parents, and future educators. You can find more information about us at our website, which is educatorsforimpact.org. And besides myself, I have 6 other team members, which include Elaine, Vanessa, Angelina, Chris, Aaron, and then Ryan, who are working to make sure this event is possible. And as I said, Annie is a 4th year at UCLA, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Annie, and I'm a rising senior at UCLA, and I'm majoring in computer science. I've also interned at Microsoft twice as a software engineer intern, and I also do software dev for a couple of clubs on campus.
Okay, perfect. And now we're just going to move on to our Q&A session. And for this, you guys are welcome to put your questions up in the chat box, and we have a few questions of our own. And we will try our best to address all your questions at the end. So, Annie, first of all, what allowed you to explore your interests and passions for computer science in high school?
Yeah, in high school, I went to American high school, so there was a lot of engineering related classes and CS related classes. So I took a few, I took like Intro to Engineering Design in freshman year, and then I moved through like the CS series and APCS. And I just thought these were really interesting. And as I kept going, there's just like so much to explore. So that kind of really started me off. And then in high school, there's also so many clubs related to CS. I feel like there were so many at our school. So I just really went around, tried different things, attended meetings and built projects. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started.
Yeah. So you talked about having like a lot of clubs and classes during high school. Was there any specific club that you thought really motivated you into doing CS?
Yeah, in freshman year, I joined Society of Women Engineers, which I thought was really cool because you kind of get put into a community with like-minded individuals and there's like representation. So that was nice. And I felt like that was a supportive environment for me to grow in. Other than that, I got really involved with our school's Computer Science First Club, which kind of, it went through a lot of revamping over the years when I was in high school, but we covered a lot of ground and really tried to teach and help members learn a lot of different subjects within CS. So I thought that was cool. And it kind of like gave me more of a broader range within what I could do with computer science.
Uh, so it seems like you have a lot of activities that you have done during high school. And so how did you manage your time while doing all those activities?
Yeah, I think I'm very organized in the sense that I always have to-do lists and I have a bunch of, notes and spreadsheets and stuff for what I have to get done and like how I want to plan out my days. I don't really like just leave my days out for spontaneous. It's more like I set a goal for like, okay, I need to do this by this time, and so on and so forth. So I'd say like probably prioritize your tasks, make a to-do list. That's like the number one way I function. Keep a calendar, try to block out time to do stuff when necessary. And I think a lot of times we don't really take advantage of the smaller chunks of time in between. Like if you're, I don't know, waiting for a meeting or if you have some downtime in between your main events in the day, like take advantage of that because that time adds up and you can knock out smaller tasks really easily just by using that.
Now let's talk about UCLA. So what was like the transition from high school to college like, and how difficult was it or how easy was it to integrate yourself into university culture?
Yeah, so for me, it was actually kind of interesting because I started freshman year of college during COVID, so that it was online. So I think it was actually really challenging for me. I was used to, like high school wasn't too bad for me. It was like obviously classes are hard, but it wasn't like super, super bad. But I went into college not really prepared for the intensity of the rigor, I guess, and coupled with the fact that it was online, it was really hard for me to focus. And I wasn't getting like a traditional in-person college experience. I think I really had trouble adjusting. So fall quarter of my first year, I did struggle in my classes, but I slowly overcame it. And now I think I've been in a good place since maybe last year. And it just comes down to, again, like being prepared for the rigor. I think I just wasn't mentally ready. And also, like taking steps to mitigate that. So, for example, I used to be a huge procrastinator, and I still kind of am, but I've gotten a little better. Like I try to do things not super, super last minute, or if there's a final or a midterm, I won't wait to study for it. I'll like start earlier as possible. And one thing that's really important in college, in high school too, but like especially in college, is you can't let stuff build up. If you're not sure, if you're confused, you have to clear that up. Otherwise, it builds up, and then from experience, I can say that it's not fun. So yeah, I think adjusting to college culture, so addressing the second part of the question, that was it was interesting. You get thrown into like a huge pool of so many people who are your age, and you're all out away from home for the first time. So I think it's really fun. There's a lot of freedom to really explore different organizations and events on campus. Really try to like find your niche and maybe like try new things. So I think in that sense, it's really fun, and I feel like I adjusted pretty well.
Yeah. So you talked about procrastination and everything, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us do deal with procrastination. So I just wanted to ask, like during college, was there like a specific moment in time where you realized, oh, I gotta like start doing stuff like right as I get them, or was it just like slowly you built up into it?
Yeah, I would say it literally hit me as soon as I went into college because UCLA is on the quarter system, which means that we get 10 weeks per term, and that's like all you have for the entire class. So it moves so fast. And if you even miss like a week, for example, then you're super behind. So I think I realized right away that I have to go to class. And if I don't like go to live class, then I have to keep on track with the recordings and watching the lectures, looking at lecture notes. Otherwise, it just builds up. So yeah, I would say it hits you really fast.
Yeah. And speaking of UCLA, it's very competitive to get in. So why did you choose the school you're attending and like the main factors that basically influenced your decision?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I don't know, kind of funny, kind of cringy. I always thought UCLA was my dream school. So yeah, that was just like I was always set on it. And I think it's for multiple reasons. Like for one thing, the location. I really like Southern California, and being in LA is like being in a big city. And I mean, I grew up in Fremont, so it's not like the most exciting place. So I wanted to kind of branch out and explore for college. And UCLA has a pretty strong engineering school, so I thought that that was pretty appealing since I was trying to go into CS. So yeah, and I've heard a lot of things about the social culture at UCLA, how it's like it's a very balanced environment where people are work hard, play hard, and I really wanted to go into such an environment where I could like both push myself academically, but also live my social life to the fullest, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And what are some of the greatest challenges you have faced during college? I know procrastination is probably one, but if there's anything else.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, so definitely like procrastination, trying to stay on top of schoolwork. It took me a couple quarters to really adjust to the pace of college and everything. But aside from that, I think just like all the content you're exposed to, college just moves so much faster, and there's such a wider range of course content available. So in high school, you kind of stick with the same classes for the whole year or maybe like the whole semester. But here it's like you're constantly learning new things, and you're constantly learning how to apply those skills to projects and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that that's definitely like a challenge. And then also adjusting, just like there's a lot of random stuff you'll encounter as you move into independent life, or kind of, at least living on your own, living in the dorms. I don't know, like everything is kind of up to you now. You call the shots. So I think there's definitely an adjustment process to get used to how that feels. But overall, it's it wasn't too much of a challenge. It just took a little bit of time.
Yeah. So you did talk about this a little bit in your last question, but I just wanted to ask about like specifically like the living situation in the dorms. How is that like?
Yeah. So I lived in a triple dorm my sophomore year, which was my first year in person. And then I moved to a double dorm later. So I think dorm life is pretty good. I like that you don't have to cook and there's always food available. UCLA is known for, I mean, we used to be like number one dining or whatever. I think the food quality is like it's not as good as it was pre-COVID from what I've heard, but it's still pretty good. So I think it's very convenient and dorm life puts you in the vicinity of so many people your age and everyone's, when you enter college, everyone wants to make friends. You want to put yourself out there. So I think it's really easy to socialize and find your group, find kind of your vibe. So yeah, I'd say dorms are great. I know people also move into apartments as they get older. So that's also a great option and you kind of get more freedom. So both are great.
Yeah. And so what does your day-to-day life look like now that you're in college? You have your own independence and like what do you do on weekends? And just that clarify that balance between academics and social life.
Yeah. I'd say weekdays are mostly like I would stay on campus and I don't always go to class in person just because I don't have to, but I watch lecture recordings or I look at the lecture notes. And then it's a lot of just like grinding through homework, doing projects and stuff like that. I try to make it a priority to like socialize on weekdays as well though. So usually like I'll grab dinner with a friend or maybe like get boba like after class, something like that. So I keep it balanced. And then I think I tend to really like to go out. So like on weekends, it's just I try to get my work done earlier or during the week if I can, so that I can have 2 full days of like socializing or like hanging out or just relaxing.
And so it's commonly known that UCLA is like a huge campus and that you
Mhm.
have to like walk around a lot. So is that like an issue in your opinion?
Okay, so I actually think that UCLA is the smallest UC campus, so it's not too bad. I would just say that we have a lot of hills, and so yeah, you'll hear people complain about that. But overall, yeah, not bad. We don't bike at UCLA, which I guess maybe that is annoying, but everything's within maybe like 20 minutes at most of walking, so it's not too bad. And then usually you just plan your classes so that you have a little bit of downtime to walk between your lectures. And yeah, I've never had really an issue.
Do you know like on campus if there's like the scooters or like a bus or anything that takes you around or
Yeah, I think we do have something called a Bruin bus, but personally, like I've never taken it. I don't think a lot of people take it, but it is there if you need it. And then yeah, people do scooter. We have like birds, like those you can like rent them. So yeah, like people do that, but I think UCLA is different from a lot of college campuses in that we're literally just like everyone just walks. It's too hilly, there's too many stairs where you don't really like, I don't know, bird.
and I know in high school you did a lot of different clubs and stuff like that. So in college currently, are you a part of any clubs or organizations? And if so, why did you join?
Yeah, I joined a lot of clubs at the start of college and then I slowly kind of weeded out the ones I was really passionate about. So right now I am in a satellite research mission, which is kind of a club, kind of an org on campus. But it's basically we're funded by NASA, which is pretty cool. And we use like satellites to study space weather. And so I work on the software side, so writing the code to operate the satellites. And I joined this freshman year. Totally, I just applied on a whim. I was like, this sounds cool. I don't know if I'll get in, but they interviewed me and I actually got in. So ever since then, I've been just exploring this org, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do within, I don't know, like satellite development. So I've gotten the chance to really learn what it's like to work with other people in software and how to work in a team regarding technical stuff. So it's been really fun. So this is the one I've stuck with the longest. I also was a part of some other clubs. Like there was one club where I joined for a quarter and we made a video game, which that was pretty cool. And that was like my first taste of game dev. And then let's see. Yeah, I've also worked on like websites for some clubs. We have something called LA Hacks, which is a hackathon event that we organize every year. And so the first year I was on marketing, but the second year I was on the tech team where I just worked on the official hackathon website.
So you talked about how you guys designed a video game. So what was that like? What was the video game?
Yeah, so it was actually really neat. It was called Let's Take a Walk. And so the whole concept was it's not like your average video game, but we really wanted to hone in on interpersonal relationships and deep conversations. This was during COVID, so it's like we're trying to facilitate connection between people. And so it's like a multiplayer game where you have to work together to solve little puzzles, and they'll require you to like discuss certain questions. Like we give you prompts about, I don't know, like life, and you discuss it with your partner. And so it was really neat. The concept kind of came from the designers and the project lead. And it was like a team of maybe 10 people, half designers and half software. And so it was really cool getting to work with people on executing their vision, and you get sent like the design docs and all of the specific details that they want to go into the game, and you kind of go like, okay, how can I actually implement this? So yeah, and we used Unity and C Sharp, which was new to me at the time, so that was cool.
And if you had to change one thing about your school, what would it be?
Um, Maybe it's too crowded. Like it would be nice if they, I don't know, had more facilities. Like for example, if the food, like if we had more dining options open, that would be nice. Or like if lecture halls could be less crowded, like if they had more facilities, that would be nice. But overall, I really can't say I have many complaints.
And if you could go back in time now that you have all that knowledge to give your high school self, like some words of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would tell my high school self to like chill out a little bit, honestly, regarding like I think I was super, super worried about the future when I was in high school and I had all these like, I have to do this and that and this and that. But as you move into college and as you get older, you kind of just figure out life as it comes. And so sometimes it's hard to like really plan out like I want to do this and I want to major in this and I want to go into this as a career. Like you kind of yeah, you have to like give yourself the grace to figure things out, go with the flow, but also I would say I don't know, maybe I was like too paranoid or too nervous in high school, but I think I gained a lot of confidence moving into college. And so I feel like one thing that sticks with me is like you can do it. As cliche as it sounds, like it's all about like having a growth mindset. Like we say this a lot at Microsoft, but like it's not about what you are at right now, but it's how can you get to where you want to be. Like you can do it. You just have to put in the time or the effort or whatever else it takes, but it's always possible.
And a lot of people know that computer science is currently like a really hot major, because a lot of people say like, oh, if you major in computer science, you're automatically going to get a job. Have you had like any difficulties with your major? And especially since you are a young woman in computer science, have you faced any adversities in
Yeah,
like a male dominated field?
yeah. I'll address this, I guess, part by part. So yeah, CS is a very hot major, and I think there was especially a boom in recent years where people really everyone tries to get into this major in this field. I would say it's not really like, yeah, as long as you major in CS, you'll get a job. Like it's definitely the job hunt takes effort and you have to practice and really like get ready for those interviews. Personally, like for me, I interviewed quite a bit, like not too much, but it takes like a bit of time to get your offers. And especially if you have like a certain caliber or like whatever company or goal you have. So yeah, I'd say like you have to put in the time and the work. And then regarding like, yeah, being a woman in CS, I think like UCLA has been great. The community is great. I don't really feel like there's any disadvantage, although it is, interesting when you go into lecture and it's mostly male dominated. I think I just got used to it at some point, but yeah, like it is it is noticeable. But I think in general, yes, sometimes I do encounter certain situations where people might underestimate me, or I've worked in teams where people didn't really recognize or like they were like talking over me, even though I knew what I was doing. And I think it just comes down to, like part of it is inevitable, part of it is how do you deal with those situations. And I try not to let it get to me because like I know my skill level. So yeah, I think just building community with other women really helps, and trying to find like unity within other members who are struggling with the same thing.
Yeah. And let's just go back to the food bit about UCLA.
Yeah.
Um, so I know you talked about there being like a lot of different dining halls and that UCLA has really good food. Is there like in those dining halls, I know some colleges they have like specific foods and specific, halls. So what is that like there? And is there any of your favorites? Anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of options. I'm kind of lazy, so I go to the ones with less lines or less people. But yeah, I think there's pretty much anything you want. Like there's Asian food. There's like we have our version of Chipotle, I guess, like off-brand Chipotle, but it's pretty good. There's like Mediterranean food, Italian food. There's always pizza and like, the basics, sandwiches, stuff like that. So I think you don't really get bored super fast. Based on what I've heard from a lot of other friends at different colleges, I think UCLA food is like a lot better.
And do you have like a favorite in there or
Yeah. I think okay, I really like the Asian takeout place. They recently revamped it, so it's like more authentic. So I think yeah, I usually go there.
oh, that sounds nice. I'm kind of jealous
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
it's okay,
You
it's
should
okay.
come here. Yeah.
And then so what are you planning on doing in the future? Anything like that? Any careers or what are you planning on doing?
Yeah, so I'm currently interning at Microsoft, and I think that's kind of put me on a certain path towards just software engineering at like maybe big tech. Hopefully everything works out. Yeah, I've explored different like companies in different industries, but I think I really like the culture here at big tech. So that's probably where I'm going right out of graduation.
Okay, perfect. And so I think that is all our questions. So thank you, Annie, again for coming here to help us out and tell us more about UCLA. So
Yeah, thank you for
now
having me.
before we end, if you guys are interested in joining our team and earning volunteer hours, you can learn how to join our team on our website. And again, that's just educatorsforimpact.org and it's under the Join Us tab, so top right corner. And I would like to thank you guys all for coming out and supporting us. And I would want to give a special thanks again to Annie and for giving such a great seminar, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. And we hope to see you guys at our next event.